"You're such a disappointment, Liam." Those words came from my sister Jessica's mouth at Mom's birthday dinner. She said it loud enough for everyone to hear. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. The whole table went silent. Mom looked down at her plate. Dad coughed awkwardly. Jessica just smiled and took a sip of her wine like she'd commented on the weather. I was 25 years old, working as a janitor at a tech company downtown. Jessica was 28 and worked as a marketing manager at some fancy firm. She never let me forget it. "Still cleaning toilets," she added with a laugh. My face burned hot. I wanted to say something back, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I put down my fork and excused myself. As I walked to the bathroom, I heard Jessica tell everyone how I'd wasted my life. How I'd dropped out of college. How I had no ambition. None of them knew the truth. 5 years earlier, I was a sophomore studying computer science at State University. I loved coding. Loved solving problems. Loved building things from nothing but lines of code. But then Dad got sick. Really sick. Cancer. Stage 3. Mom couldn't work and take care of him at the same time. Jessica had just started her fancy job and said she couldn't help with money. She had student loans, she said. Had to build her career, she said. So I made a choice. I dropped out of school and got a job. Any job. The first place that hired me was Wilson Tech as a night janitor. The pay was decent enough to help with Dad's medical bills. I told myself it was temporary. Just until Dad got better. Just until we got back on our feet. But temporary became permanent. Dad recovered, thank God, but by then I'd been out of school too long. I couldn't afford to go back. What nobody knew was that I never stopped learning. Every night after my janitorial shift ended at 2 in the morning, I'd stay in the building. The offices were empty. The computers were right there. I taught myself to code properly. I watched hundreds of hours of online tutorials. I read programming books I borrowed from the library. I practiced building apps and websites. By day, I cleaned floors and emptied trash cans. By night, I became a programmer. Nobody at Wilson Tech knew. I was invisible to them. Just the quiet janitor who kept his head down. The engineers would leave their code on their screens when they went home. I'd study it while I cleaned their offices. I learned what worked and what didn't. I saw their mistakes and figured out how to fix them. After 2 years of this, I was better than half the programmers they employed. One night, I was cleaning the CEO's office. His name was Richard Wilson, and everyone called him Mr. Wilson. He was working late, which was unusual. Usually, the executives left by 6. I knocked softly on his door. "Sorry, sir. I can come back later," I said. He looked up from his computer, frustrated. "No, come in. Maybe you can help me." I must have looked confused because he laughed. "I'm kidding. I'm just stuck on this problem." He gestured at his screen. I pushed my cleaning cart inside and started emptying his trash. But I glanced at his screen. It was a coding problem. An algorithm issue that was causing their new app to crash. I recognized it immediately. I'd seen similar problems in my late-night studies. "The loop is infinite," I said quietly. Mr. Wilson stopped typing. He turned to look at me. "What did you say?" My heart pounded. I'd just spoken without thinking. "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't have said anything." But Mr. Wilson stood up and gestured to his computer. "No, please. What do you mean the loop is infinite?" I walked closer, my hands shaking slightly. I pointed at the screen without touching it. Right there. Line 47. The condition never becomes false, so the loop never stops. That's why the app freezes. He stared at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. He scrolled through the code. His eyes widened. "You're right. How did you?" He trailed off, looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time. I taught myself, I said simply. At night, after my shift. I use the computers here. I hope that's okay. Mr. Wilson sat back down slowly. You taught yourself to code? How long have you been doing this? About 2 years, sir. Mr. Wilson asked me to stay. He opened up different files and showed me problems his team was struggling with. One by one, I identified issues and suggested solutions. We talked for 2 hours. He asked about my background, why I was working as a janitor, what I wanted to do with my life. I told him everything. About dropping out for Dad. About teaching myself at night. About wanting to be a real programmer someday. When I finally left his office at 4 in the morning, he shook my hand. Come see me tomorrow at 9. And don't wear your uniform. I barely slept that night. I kept thinking I'd imagined the whole thing. That I'd wake up and realize it was just a dream. But at 9 the next morning, I walked into Mr. Wilson's office wearing the only nice clothes I owned. A simple suit I'd worn to a cousin's wedding. Mr. Wilson smiled when he saw me. Liam, I want to offer you a position. Junior developer. You'll work with our team on the new app. Starting salary is $55,000 a year. I nearly fell over. That was more than double what I made as a janitor. Are you serious? I whispered. Completely serious. You have raw talent. You just need structure and experience. I'm willing to take a chance on you. I said yes immediately. I started the following Monday. The other developers were surprised when I joined the team. Some of them recognized me as the janitor. They whispered behind my back. But I didn't care. I worked harder than everyone else. I arrived early and stayed late. I asked questions and learned everything I could. Within 6 months, I was one of the best developers on the team. Within a year, I was leading my own projects. Mr. Wilson became my mentor. He taught me about business, not just coding. Meanwhile, Jessica's life looked perfect on the outside. She posted constantly on social media about her job, her apartment, her boyfriend. She came to family dinners and bragged about her accomplishments. She still made little comments about my job. Even after I became a developer, she found ways to put me down. Junior developer? So you're still at the bottom, she'd say with a sweet smile. Mom would tell her to be nice, but Jessica always had an excuse. She was just joking. She was just being honest. She just wanted me to have ambition like her. Dad would change the subject. I stopped trying to defend myself. I just focused on my work. On getting better. On proving myself through results, not words. 3 years after I started as a junior developer, Mr. Wilson called me into his office again. This time, his expression was serious. I wondered if I'd done something wrong. Liam, I'm getting old, Mr. Wilson said. He was 68 and had been talking about retirement for a year. I need to start thinking about succession planning. About who will run this company when I'm gone. I nodded, unsure where this was going. I've been watching you for 3 years now. You're not just a great programmer. You understand business. You understand people. You see the big picture. He paused and looked directly at me. I want to promote you to Chief Technology Officer. You'll oversee all our development teams. You'll report directly to me. And when I retire in 2 years, I want you to become CEO. I couldn't breathe. CEO? Me? The guy who'd been cleaning toilets 3 years ago? Mr. Wilson, I don't know what to say. Say yes. I've already discussed this with the board. They've approved it. You're the future of this company, Liam. I accepted the position as CTO. At 28 years old, I was suddenly managing a department of 50 people. The salary was $200,000 a year. I could barely process it. I'd gone from making $28,000 as a janitor to this. The responsibility was overwhelming at first. I had former senior developers reporting to me. People with 20 years of experience. Some of them resented me. They thought I'd risen too fast. That I hadn't paid my dues. But I proved myself again. I made good decisions. I listened to my team. I gave credit where it was due. Slowly, I earned their respect. I still didn't tell my family the details. When Jessica asked about my job, I said I was doing well and changed the subject. I didn't post about it on social media. I didn't brag at family dinners. I just kept working. Kept learning. Kept preparing for the day Mr. Wilson would retire. 2 years passed quickly. I turned 30. Mr. Wilson turned 70 and announced his retirement. The board meeting to approve the new CEO was scheduled for a Monday morning. That weekend, Mom called and invited me to Sunday dinner. "Jessica has some exciting news," Mom said. I drove to their house Sunday evening with a strange feeling in my stomach. Jessica's car was already there when I arrived. She opened the door with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. "Liam. Perfect timing. I have amazing news." We sat down for dinner, and Jessica couldn't contain herself. "I got a new job. Marketing director at Wilson Tech. It's a huge promotion. I'll be managing a whole team. The salary is incredible." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Again. Just like 5 years earlier. But this time for a completely different reason. Jessica worked at Wilson Tech now. She'd be my employee. And she had no idea. "That's great, Jessica," I managed to say. My mind was racing. Tomorrow morning, the board would officially make me CEO. Tomorrow afternoon, there would be a company-wide announcement. Jessica would find out then. "When do you start?" I asked. "Tomorrow." Perfect timing, right? I'll be in the executive building. Apparently, the new CEO is starting tomorrow too. Some guy who worked his way up. I'm sure I'll meet him soon. She smiled at me with that familiar condescending look. "Maybe you should apply there too, Liam. They might have some entry-level positions in IT support or something." I just nodded and took a bite of my food. Mom asked Jessica questions about her new role. Dad congratulated her. I stayed quiet. After dinner, Jessica cornered me in the kitchen. "You know, Liam, it's not too late for you. You're only 30. You could still make something of yourself." Monday morning arrived. I put on my best suit. Navy blue, perfectly tailored. I'd bought it a month ago for this exact day. I arrived at Wilson Tech at 7, 2 hours before the board meeting. I wanted time to prepare. To center myself. At 9, I walked into the boardroom. 12 board members sat around the table. Mr. Wilson stood at the head. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. As you know, today is my last day as CEO of Wilson Tech. It's been an honor to lead this company for 30 years. But every leader's job is to prepare for their succession. I'm confident we have the right person to lead us into the future." He gestured to me. "Liam Chen has proven himself exceptional in every way. He's brilliant, dedicated, and visionary. I'm proud to recommend him as your new CEO." The vote was unanimous. Just like that, I became the CEO of a company worth $500 million. The announcement went out at 2 that afternoon. An email to all employees. A press release to the media. By 3, my phone was exploding with messages. Friends from college I hadn't heard from in years. Former coworkers. Random people I'd met once. Everyone wanted to congratulate me. Everyone except my family. They didn't know yet. I'd kept my work life completely separate from them. At 4, I had my first all-hands meeting as CEO. The auditorium was packed with employees. I stood on stage and introduced myself properly. Many of them knew me as the CTO. But many didn't know my full story. Some of you might remember me from 6 years ago. I said. I worked here as a night janitor. I cleaned your offices. I emptied your trash cans. I was invisible to most of you. But this company gave me a chance. Mr. Wilson gave me a chance. And I'm here to make sure we give chances to others like me. People with talent who just need an opportunity. The room erupted in applause. After the meeting, I had back-to-back sessions with different department heads. Marketing was scheduled for 4:30. I sat in my new office, the CEO's office, and waited. My assistant knocked. The marketing team is here. Send them in. Jessica walked in first. She was laughing at something her colleague said. She looked confident, excited. She glanced at me, still not recognizing me in this context. Then she did a double take. Her smile faltered. Liam? Hello, Jessica. Welcome to Wilson Tech. She stared at me. At my desk. At the nameplate that said Liam Chen, CEO. At the view from the window that only the corner office had. I don't understand, she whispered. Sit down. We have a lot to discuss about your role here. The other marketing team members looked confused. They didn't know we were siblings. Jessica sat down slowly, her face pale. The meeting was professional. I welcomed the new marketing team members. I outlined my vision for the company. I asked about their ideas and goals. Jessica didn't say a word. She just stared at me the whole time. After everyone else left, she stayed behind. You're the CEO, she said. That's correct. Since when? Since this morning. But I've been CTO for 2 years. Jessica's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Is there something you wanted to say, Jessica? I kept my voice calm, professional. You let me think you were nobody. You let me make fun of you. I didn't let you do anything. You chose to make fun of me. You chose to call me a failure. You chose to put me down every chance you got. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know. Would it have mattered if you did know? Should you only treat people with respect if they're successful? Jessica left without answering. I knew she needed time to process everything. I'd had 6 years to get used to my new reality. She'd had 6 minutes. The rest of the week was intense. Being CEO meant constant meetings, decisions, and responsibilities. I loved every minute of it. On Friday, I had to sign off on payroll. My assistant brought me a stack of documents. As CEO, my signature went on every employee's paycheck. Including Jessica's. I picked up the pen and signed my name on her check. Liam Chen. Right there in ink. I wondered if she'd notice. If she'd realize that her little brother, the one she'd called a failure, was now the person paying her salary. That evening, Mom called. Liam, can you come for dinner tomorrow? We need to talk as a family. Sure, Mom. I knew what was coming. Jessica had told them. I drove to their house Saturday evening for the second weekend in a row. The atmosphere was completely different from the week before. Jessica's car was already there, but she didn't answer the door. Dad did. He hugged me tight. Why didn't you tell us? He whispered. Inside, Mom was cooking. Jessica sat at the table, staring at her phone. When she saw me, she stood up. Liam, I owe you an apology. We all sat down. Jessica took a deep breath. I've been terrible to you. For years, I've made you feel small. I've called you a failure. I've mocked your job. And the whole time, you were building something incredible. Her voice cracked. I got my paycheck yesterday. I saw your signature. The brother I've been putting down for 5 years is my boss. It's like some kind of cosmic joke. It's not a joke, I said quietly. It's just reality. I worked hard. I never stopped learning. I took every opportunity that came my way. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked. Why didn't you tell us you were doing so well? I looked at all of them. Because I wanted to prove something to myself, not to you. I didn't need your validation. I didn't need Jessica's approval. I needed to know that I could do it. That I was more than what people thought of me. Dad reached across and squeezed my hand. I'm so proud of you. When you dropped out to help us, I felt terrible, he continued. I thought we'd ruined your future. But you never blamed us. You just kept going. Because that's what family does, I said. We help each other. Even when it's hard. Even when it costs us something. Jessica was crying now. Really crying. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, I said honestly. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. Not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger would only hurt me. The dinner was quiet after that. We ate Mom's pot roast and talked about small things. Normal things. For the first time in years, Jessica didn't brag about her accomplishments. She didn't put me down. She just listened. Before I left, she walked me to my car. Liam, I know I can't take back what I said. All those years of making you feel worthless. But I want to try to be better. To be the sister you deserved. Then be that person, I said. Not just to me, but to everyone. You never know what someone is going through. You never know what they're capable of. She nodded. I'll do better at work too. I know it's going to be weird, working for you. But I promise I'll be professional. I know you will. And Jessica? I didn't hire you. You got that job on your own merit. The hiring happened before I became CEO. So remember that. You belong there because you're good at what you do. The next few months were an adjustment for everyone. Jessica was professional at work. She did her job well. She treated me with respect, not because I was her boss, but because she'd genuinely changed. The other employees eventually found out we were siblings. Some thought it was awkward. Others thought it was inspiring. I just focused on running the company. We launched 2 new products that year. Both were successful. Our stock price went up 30%. We hired 100 new employees. I made sure we had programs to help people like me. People who needed second chances. We partnered with community colleges to offer coding boot camps. We hired people without traditional degrees if they could prove their skills. We created mentorship programs. I remembered what it felt like to be invisible. To be dismissed. To be called a failure. I never wanted anyone else to feel that way. Not in my company. During my first year as CEO, we won 3 industry awards. I was named one of the top young CEOs in the country. Magazine interviews wanted to know my secret. How had I risen so fast? What was my strategy? I told them the truth. There's no secret. Just work. Just learning. Just refusing to let other people's opinions define you. Jessica and I gradually rebuilt our relationship. She came to family dinners and didn't make everything about herself. She asked about my life. She celebrated my wins. One evening, about a year after I became CEO, she called me. Can we get coffee? Just us? We met at a cafe near our parents' house. The same cafe where we used to study during high school. I've been thinking a lot, Jessica said. About how I treated you. About why I treated you that way. She stirred her coffee slowly. I think I was jealous. Even when you were a janitor, you seemed content. You weren't chasing validation like I was. You just did your work and didn't care what people thought. I cared, I admitted. Your words hurt. Every time you called me a failure, it hurt. But I couldn't let that stop me. I had to keep going. How did you do it? How did you stay motivated when everyone was putting you down? I thought about it. I did it for Dad at first. Then I did it for myself. But mostly, I did it because I knew I was capable of more. I could feel it. And I wasn't going to let anyone, not even you, convince me otherwise. Jessica wiped her eyes. You're the strongest person I know. Strength isn't about never falling down, I said. It's about getting back up. You've fallen down this past year. I've watched you struggle with guilt and shame. But you're getting back up. You're trying to be better. That's strength too. She smiled through her tears. When did you become so wise? Probably somewhere between cleaning toilets and running a company. 2 years into my role as CEO, Wilson Tech was thriving. We'd doubled in size. Our products were industry-leading. And I'd learned something important about success. It's not about proving other people wrong. It's not about revenge or getting even. It's about proving yourself right. About validating your own belief in yourself. Jessica and I had coffee every month now. She'd become one of my closest friends. Not because we were siblings, but because we'd both grown. She'd learned humility. I'd learned forgiveness. At our last coffee meeting, she brought something with her. An old photo from Mom's birthday dinner. The one where she'd called me a failure. I keep this in my office, she said. To remind me to never judge people by their current circumstances. You never know what someone is capable of becoming. I looked at the photo. At my younger self, looking hurt and small. That guy was already capable, I said. He just hadn't had the chance to show it yet. Today, I'm 32. I've been CEO for 2 years. Wilson Tech is worth over $1 billion. We employ over 1,000 people. I've helped hundreds of people get chances they wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. People without degrees. People with gaps in their resumes. People who just needed someone to believe in them. Jessica is now a senior marketing director. She earned the promotion through hard work, not because of our relationship. She's excellent at her job. Mom and Dad come to our office sometimes. They walk through the building with pride. Dad likes to tell people that I used to clean these same floors. That I never gave up. Last week, we hired a new night janitor. A young man, 23 years old. I saw him in the hallway after hours. Hi, I'm Liam, the CEO. What's your name? Marcus, he said nervously. Nice to meet you, Marcus. I used to have your job. If you ever need anything, my door is always open. His eyes widened. Maybe someday, he'll be signing my paycheck. And that would be just fine with me.